Hey guys, Todd here. Welcome to the Wednesday live stream. Sorry for being a few minutes late, but I think we're good. Guys, just give me a quick audio check. Make sure everything's good, and we will get rolling. Good morning, good morning. All right. We are rolling. Let me just check with my team on Slack. Okay, awesome. Guys, we have a good show here this morning. Lots to show you. Perfect. Okay, let me just do a quick update on the markets. And then we actually have two special guests coming in to the Wednesday live stream. So we're going to have some fun here. All right. So we're good there. All's good. Mr. Kelly from MotivWave International. How are you, sir? All right. So let's do this. Okay. Now, let me just make sure I've got audio rolling on that. Okay, there we go. All right, guys. And team, my trade analysis team, just hit me on Slack if I screw, or probably when I screw something up. Okay, perfect. I got Slack up. So, guys, I think for me, I know Peter is going to be addressing this here when he comes in soon. But S&P is at a pretty unique position. We just came back from the Traders Expo. It was awesome. I was lucky enough to have one of the keynote speeches. There was like 900 people in the room, and I did it back in November as well. So here we are in March. I can tell you the bearishness in the room from Terry. What does that mean? You changed the microphone input? Does that you can't hear me? Okay. Audio settings. Okay. Test. Sorry, guys. I'm just making sure we're good here. More information than that. Okay. Perfect. Audio. Okay, perfect. That should take care of it right there. All right, good. Still okay? Team, talk to me. All right. Better. Okay, good. So there will be an engineer in my future, somebody I hire who takes care of this for me. Trying to do this as a one-man show, no bueno. So bear with me, guys, and I'll have a smart 23-year-old college kid who can just bang through this. But we're going to limp through it. But just let me know. Okay, perfect. Good. All right. So as I said, back in the last trade show, which was right here in Vegas, the room was so bearish. I didn't... I was like, wow, I came in bearish in the market, but the overwhelming bearish sentiment in the market kind of changed and lessened the conviction I had in the downside. We sold off down into Christmas and we rallied all the way back. And here we go. We just did the New York Traders Expo and the room wasn't as bearish. We're in a very interesting position. I've talked about this a bunch of times on here. I've talked about it on CNBC, that there's so much technical levels up here around the 2800 region that it's going to create a very choppy trade. And that's so far what we've received. I am still looking this as a potential rally back in a corrective mode. We're testing the 78% retracement of the September to December drop. I think it's been obviously a very directional move, but it's been kind of challenging to to count from an MotivWave point of view. This is the interpretation I'm looking at. I did try to short with my subscribers. This rally did get stopped out, and it was not fun. But hey, that's how we roll with full transparency. Full transparency here at Trading Analysis. So, if we break through this resistance, then I would say, okay, we probably have higher prices to come. A break of the 78.6, we usually give way to the 1272, which is significantly higher. A couple stocks that I'm looking at, we have a pretty good long portfolio right now. I'm about 60% in on the portfolio. Here's the actual trades that I'm in for this testing portfolio. Intel, biggest holding, Starbucks, Boeing, AMD, Costco, NAV, Visa. 57, we started this as a $100,000 experimental portfolio. 57% is long the market. So that's kind of my conviction. Not hardcore long, just, fully long, just 57%. And I've got a 16% in the hedge, and rest is cash. So there's some good names in there. And there's like this micro bull market happening, or kind of the stealth bull market, like these tech kind of service names, like Twilio is one, and Zendesk is another one. I've got Dexcom in there, which is a strong holding. So it's a tougher options trading environment, I think, on the short term. But I think there's some strong stocks on the upside. So that being said, 9 o'clock here. I'm going to pull Mr. Brandt in here in 1 second. We're seeing a little bit of strength in the bond market here. If we could get a push above 146 in the 30-year, is that a risk-off message from bonds rallying up into the stock market, or are lower rates in fact good for the stock market? That's something I'm looking forward to asking Peter about. Gold's on the bid. So 1307. I'm actually short gold right now against some higher prices, so I'm going to have to manage that trade a little bit. And as I mentioned in the free video, I'm just going to kind of bang through the important stuff here. I'm seeing some strength in semis. I'm seeing some productive upside moves. Asia, which I think was a major reason why we got a big shot of volatility, is not making new lows now. We're starting to see strength in China, in Hang Seng, in Shanghai. There's been some good Chinese earnings out, and that relates back to the semis. I added to my Intel position. I did a free video on Intel last night. I talked about it at the Traders Expo. We'll be doing that. And Costco is another one we talked about, and Apple. So those are three that you can look at on the top side. Okay, so there is the wave count in Apple. Apple, we're looking for a move up in about 190, possibly 195. Okay, so let's pray. We did some good testing with Peter last night on the audio. But let me just do this little intro here. I'm going to start off with a quote right from the back of his book, which is, with straightforward prose, practical knowledge, and honest counsel, Peter methodically explains what no one has before, how a dedicated individual can trade for a living. That's your destination. This is your ticket, my friend Bob Prechter from MotivWave International. Let's see. Fingers crossed on the audio. Mr. Peter Brandt in the house. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Oh, it works. It works. How about that? Oh, my goodness.
Technology.
You look great. Sorry for getting you up so early.
I'm usually up the hard part is we don't have daylight savings time. One of two states in the United States that does not, Arizona and Indiana. So, I'm running to catch up a little more than usual, because now all of a sudden I'm on Pacific time, and so I'm 3 hours behind you and 7 hours behind London. So I need to get an early start on the day. I'm already done drinking coffee for the day, so I'm good.
All right, that's great. Let me introduce you first, and then we'll jump in. So, just a couple of highlights from Peter's impressive resume bio. Professional commodities trader for 4 decades, and I think we're on the other half of 4.5 decades, I think that's correct. Traded for institutional accounts from 1976 to 79. He founded his current company, Factor Trading, which I am a subscriber of. In 1980, his first book, published in 1990, Trading Commodity Futures with Classical Chart Patterns. Second book, 21 years later. That's awesome. Diary of a Professional Commodities Trader, which I happen to have right here. Right here. Diary of a Professional Commodity Trader. So, Peter, now can you see me coming back? Can you see the audio or the video, or are you just seeing your own picture?
No, I see you there. Yeah, I'm good.
Excellent. I can't believe
my lighting is not the best, but let me try something. Maybe I can improve my lighting.
Oh, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Well, there's a window in we're still dark out here. It's still nighttime.
Of course,
here.
it's
So,
6 o'clock
if it was bright outside, you'd have a much better visual if the sun was out. So.
Are the rattlesnakes out in the yard yet? Are they up yet? Are they still sleeping?
No, they're nocturnal creatures. So don't want to walk around the desert at night. Not a good idea.
We're talking last night. We're joking about the rattlesnakes. He's like, well, you got to be careful. As he's moved full time to Arizona, or majority of the time, I should say. So, anyways, I don't want to keep it too long, but thanks for coming in. And I have so much respect for you and what you've done to this industry, for this industry, in terms of transparency, in terms of being a pure technical trader, somebody who just puts it out there live. If you don't follow Peter on Twitter, you certainly should. He'll give you a no-holds-barred approach to life in the trading markets. I've only been trading since 98, 99. That was my first job, 20 years. But I follow him, and I realize I still got a long, long way to go on my journey. Let's talk real basic to start. One of the things that I really like, and I'm just going to go right into the technical tactics, is you despise, maybe too strong a word, buying breakouts. And that is a softball lead into chart patterns. Talk to me about the new traders that you've come across in your time in the markets, and why it just feels so right to buy breakouts, and how do we prevent that human instinct to want to try to just pick the easy breakout trade?
Well, I do buy breakouts. I mean, I'm a breakout trader. Yeah. But I think what you probably are referring to is I discourage against chasing the market. The new FOMO, of course, is the new vernacular of modern day trading, which I hadn't heard of until a couple of years ago. But
that's pretty new.
Of missing out.
Right.
Yeah, where I think that a lot of traders are losing money in trading ranges in the first place. You get a big broad trading range like we've had in Bitcoin, like we have in some other markets. And every time that the markets surges, they hop in. We're still in a trading range, and so it's bound to fail. And so they're losing. We used to call it in the corn market, they're losing 20 cents in a 5-cent range. And so, that's one of the issues. But then the other issue is they're not ready to go at the moment that it's time to actually take the trade on. When it really rolls through an important line, they wait a day or two. They've been all chopped up in the trading range. Now they're gun shy. And when the market then becomes the time to buy, and usually I found there's a narrow window of opportunity to really get in the market where the market has proven itself and where you have a relatively measured risk point. And so they wait to kind of be proven correct. And the market has a strong day and they haven't jumped aboard, but now they've proven correct. And,
right.
And so they wait too long. They let they chase the market. And then, of course, the first time the market reacts, they get scared and they jump back out. And so, the two mistakes are they're too anxious during the trading range and they're too late after it.
They're waiting for ultimate confirmation. When you get the confirmation, which you think is good, as you said, you're paying up. Then when the market pulls back, then the emotions really kick up. And you say, what did I do? Now you're reacting to the market because you have a bad entry. But you do. I think the takeaway, and I've read both. I've read your books. You do want to earn. You want to be patient. Let the market kind of show you that it's going that direction. But as soon as you have confirmation, then you're in. No hesitation, and that just probably comes from experience, where you have confidence in the methodology, and you don't need to be proven correct, right?
Well, and first, I don't want to have to watch markets, which I think it's another mistake people are doing. Is they get sucked into their machines, just like you have your computers in front of you. They get sucked into those machines, and left to our own emotional and reactions and character faults, we're going to do the wrong thing. We're going to self-sabotage, and so.
Right.
I want orders in place. I trade for the most part on resting orders, and so I look at my job really, Todd, as you know, as an order placer. I'm not a trader. I'm just a glorified order placer, and I just want orders in the markets at a spot that, based on the charts, makes sense. So that's what I'm always asking myself: is this chart point a good chart point? Does it make sense to do what I'm planning to do at this chart point? And then, I have no control over the markets. I only have control over the orders.
That's one of the things I was talking about at the New York. We just came back from the New York Traders Expo, and that's one of the things I was talking about. Don't waste energy trying to control the future or predict the future. It can't be done. The future perhaps isn't written yet. Maybe just work so hard at controlling the now by having a process. Follow up on that question is, by way of owning your process, being an order taker, how do you position size? I have a feeling that you vary your position size widely based on conviction, or are you pretty much a fixed number of contract trader?
Well, it's not number of contracts, it's relative to risk. And, some people measure risk or reward based on the percent of the stock, the stock they're trading, or relative to margin. I always measure risk relative to my total nominal trading capital, and I'm somewhere south of 1% of my capital per trade is where I want to be trading. But it varies. If I'm in a drawdown, and I have a whole schematic for what that looks like. What is a drawdown for me? And drawdown for me is the last three trades I closed, entered, and closed are losers. I start ramping down. I start ratcheting down my size. So I may go from 80 basis points on the trade down to 70, 60, 50. I'm in a drawdown right now, and so my risk per trade is south of 40 basis points.
Can you trade your way out of a drawdown?
No, never. No. Worst idea is possible. I mean, some people feel like, I'm in a drawdown. I need to step it up. I need to force the market. That's a huge mistake. You need to step back and
clear the head, right?
Well, you still need to take signals. If you are a signal-based trader and you feel that your signals over an extended period of time give you an edge, that your process and signals give you an edge over an extended period of time, you need to take good signals. You just take them with much less size. And but yeah, to a certain degree, you step back. When I'm in a drawdown, I want to be a little more selective on my signals.
Okay. All right. No, that makes a lot of sense. A couple other questions, just jump in. I have a lot of respect. You came from Commodity Corp, which was a breeding ground for some of the world's most successful traders. Any small anecdotes or stories or nuggets that you might pass on from those days, which was in some very heavy company and
in that kind of company, you sit in the corner and you listen. You don't force yourself upon traders who are trading 10 times your size. and I think that's one thing I'm seeing in social media, especially when it comes to the crypto markets, the coins, is new traders all of a sudden know it all, and they let you know they know it all, and they're not willing to kind of go sit in the corner and say, hey, maybe I have something here to learn.
You're in the instant gratification kind of generation. Nobody wants to put the years in the grind and that's unfortunately, I think, the generation that is gravitating towards the crypto. Sorry, millennials.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going. If you round up, I'm going on 50 years as a trader. In January 1st, 2020, I will have traded in 6 different decades.
Oh, wow. My slide was way off. I said 4 decades. Whoops. All right.
Well, I mean, not a total of, but I'm talking about in decades. Sure. So I'm starting in the 70s, 80s, 90s, hundreds, the teens, and then the 20s. I'll be into my 6 different decades. So I've pretty much seen it all. I don't think there's much that I have not seen in terms of the markets.
And how do you feel, let's say, in the first third of the career to the middle now? Is the humility greater than it's ever been, or do you trade with a degree of confidence? Say, listen, I've been through drawdowns. I know I can get out of them. My track record proves it. Like, when you're down in a drawdown, what's the conversation you have with yourself? I understand reducing the basis point risk, but how do you pick yourself up off by your bootstraps?
I'm like everybody else. I think, will I ever have a winning trade again? Can I buy a winning trade?
That's awesome.
But that's my emotional reaction, right?
Okay.
Is, hey, if I'm going to call you, Todd, what I'm going to do the next trade. You can do the opposite and you'll make money. So, it's one of those, but I know I trust my process. I mean, I go through at least 1, possibly 2 drawdowns. As you measure drawdowns, everybody measures a drawdown different. I mean, for everybody, it's a different measure. But, I mean, you just have to trust the process. I'm into like 10 straight losers right now. That's my string right now. They're not big. They're not big. I'm in less than a 2% drawdown, but hey, that comes and it goes. It's part of the territory.
Could it be? I mean, I do think vol in the markets, and I'm a member. I follow along. I do think vol is. I think the markets are a little goofy right now. But does it have anything to do with your life transition, your recent move? Were you distracted by that, or is it purely a function of the markets?
No, I think it's purely a function of the markets. I mean, the markets are indecisive. They're a little squirrely, and that happens. And so, hey, I mean, there's a challenge to make money in the market. As a new trader comes in, you got to learn how to make money. But the real challenge is keeping it. I mean, if you stay around long enough, you're going to get lucky. You're going to hit something. Right. The challenge then is once you go through the tough periods, when you get done with the tough periods, you still have your capital together.
Okay, beautiful. Let me just make a quick adjustment here, and I want to pull in, if we could, some charts you sent over. Which should we start with? I believe you sent the ES contract, correct?
Yeah, I think that's ICE. No, that's Brent. Yeah, that's Brent crude. Oh, that's S&Ps. Yeah.
Do you want to chip over another one? Do you want to talk crude? Or you want to talk S&P?
Well, let's talk on S&Ps, but I'd rather point out the Brent chart, the AD line chart, if you've got it.
I do. Yep, I've got the breath right here.
Yep.
Whoa. Hold on. Hold on 1 second.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah. I mean, that's the breadth of the S&P. That's the cumulative AD line of the S&P, where this market has blown through all of last year's highs. Now, some people say, well, that you can't trust AD anymore. You can't trust indicators because of ETFs, because of passive investing. I think that's nonsense, frankly. I think buying is buying. And so we really have a bullish non-confirmation here that cumulative 8 lead times in new highs, but the market's not. So I think S&Ps have huge upside potential.
I'm agreeing with that, and I don't know if you heard the beginning of the show, but I was just showing people my portfolio. Whatever. I trade two accounts, a short-term futures and options account, and then I've got a longer-term portfolio. I'm building a track record to eventually get on that AUM road, but there's so many stealth stocks breaking out to new highs, these kind of second-tier tech service names. There's a lot of stocks moving up, and a couple of the big ones, the FANGs, and obviously some other major sectors within the S&P are not making new highs. So I think that's exactly what we're seeing here. There's a lot of good trading opportunities in individual stocks. So ultimately, you think the big cap, there has been a rotation back into like Apple and Facebook's all of a sudden moving back, and Google's coming back, Netflix. So you think big cap catches up and pushes us to new highs?
Oh, way past new highs. So you can throw that S&P chart up if you have it.
Sure.
But I think it's probably where we're going. But I've been hoping that S&P can pull back 2650, 2600 level. But I think what we're doing here is we're putting in an inverted head and shoulders to thrust up. And so I think S&Ps go to 3280, 3300 area.
What? I was actually short with my members. I stopped out yesterday. I was trying to sell this bounce just to get that right shoulder in the MotivWave world, which Peter and I have had some fun emails back and forth on just approaches and very fun engaging. I appreciate you engaging in an email like that. But if we don't get the pullback, which I see as BR2 to 26 and a quarter, same pattern with an inverse head and shoulder, if we don't see it, and we just break up through this hotbed of 2800, 2020, what does that tell you about the market?
Oh, that is even stronger than I think. And, there's some analogs to this year. The Dow in 2010, I think, is an analog. I think stock market in 1994, 95 is an analog. And so, people have also been saying, well, we need to dig back. We've had a V extended bottom. We need to go back and look at the lows. I think there's a possibility we just keep going. Is the kind of breaks we get are the kind of breaks we've had in the last 2 weeks, and that's it.
So this circles back to the first question that I asked you. How do we trade this? Do we buy the breakout? And I understand it's in the context of you being in a drawdown, which I can, in my short 2 decades, 20 years of trading, trust me, guys, drawdowns happen. It's just part of the business. You got to expect it. So how do you approach this if we go 2820 bid in the S&P?
Well, I don't trade it by, I need a chart pattern to be a trader of futures or leveraged markets, and we don't have it. So for me, this is a no deal. This is not a trade until it becomes a trade. But what it tells me is I want to be as fully extended in my IRA retirement type account where I trade equity names and ETFs. I want to be fully extended there.
All right, that's really good. Peter, I appreciate that. That was wonderful. I think we hit some good topics in 20 minutes. I know you got things going on, and I know the grandkids were there, and it was fun prepping for this. And I thank you very much. Any closing thoughts to the traders? Let me just see if there's some questions out there that I can send you guys. Yeah, it looks like my audio was a little screwed up, but parting thoughts for all new traders, and I'll tell them where they can find you.
Cut your losers short. Let your runners run. That's the advice that was given to me: is you don't sit around and play around with losing trades. You get out of them, because you will have winning trades. Those are the ones you want to hang on to and let take care of themselves.
They will come. They will come. That's awesome. Words of wisdom to live by. That was Peter Brandt coming from Factor Trading. Be sure to check him out. As I mentioned, I'm a subscriber. Been a subscriber for years. To him, I really appreciate you coming on, Peter. And would you come back on the show? I promise I'll get better at technology. I promise.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough, Todd. Well, you have a good day there.
Thanks, my man. Talk to you soon. Thank you.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, let's flip this over. We're going to go, let's pick a good angle here. Let's go right there. All right, guys, that was awesome, huh? Peter Brandt. just talking about kind of the approach to being a professional trader. I think you can see it's not glorious. It's not models and bottles. It's a full-time business where you got to work through drawdowns, have your system, and fire on it. So that was great. I hope you guys enjoyed that. So yeah, on Twitter. Oh, that's the other thing I should have mentioned. Peter on Twitter's a riot. You definitely gotta search Peter Brandt on Twitter. So all right, perfect. So guys, sorry I didn't throw some of your questions in. As I said, I'm still getting better at this one-man production studio, but this will come to a close soon. We're still technically in beta. All right, so guys, we are going to do guest number 2. I'm totally pressing my luck on this. The software that we use, okay, let me just flip this up. Let me just make this quick adjustment. I'm doing some tech on the fly. Boom. So the software that we use is MotivWave. Okay, I primarily get my context, my market context from the LA wave theory. It's something Peter and I have gone back and forth. He's not an LA wave practitioner, though he is very friendly with Bob Prechter, and we were just kind of comparing. We were looking at that inverse head and shoulders in the S&P. It lines up perfectly with what the LA wave count is saying in terms of the S&P. Do we get that B or 2 pullback in the S&P? And this is exactly what I was looking for. This kind of drop right here. So we'll see. Futures are kind of flat, but a lot of you guys have asked me. Excuse me, I can't kick this cold. A lot of you guys have asked me what the software is that I use, and it is MotivWave software. So the next guest is Joe Mulaney. He's with MotivWave, in fact, and I just want to bring them in. They're doing a test. They're doing an upgrade, I should say, for version 6. MotivWave software is something I've been using for, I think, probably 8, 9, almost 10 years. And they have a new version coming out. So I was just going to talk to Joe a little bit. I know a lot of you viewers at home are using MotivWave. So if you haven't gotten into 6, we're going to have Joe kind of walk us through it. Joe, I'm going to bring you in. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you fine, Todd.
I think I screwed up my mic, but I just pulled off 2 guests and their audio works. This is great. Joe, thanks so much for being here, man.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. So Joe, if you've ever dealt with MotivWave software, you probably spoke with Joe. So let me just do one thing here. Joe, tell me a little bit about your role at MotivWave. Tell me what it's like to work with the crazy programmer. I'm kidding. I love him. He's a great guy. Tony Lindsay. What's life at MotivWave like?
Life at MotivWave is pretty exciting. There's always something to do. So I enjoy interacting with the customers. As you know, we take pride in the fact that with our product, we want to ensure the best customer experience ever. Yep. So we're always open to getting feedback, suggestions regarding user requests, and of course input from partners such as yourself in helping the evolution of the product. So I've been here for about 4 years. I've seen the product go from version 3 to version 4 to version 5, and now we are in version 6 beta for the past about a month and a half or so.
Now, what does that mean, beta? I mean, obviously, I know we're testing out, but 6 seems to be a big upgrade compared to what we've seen in 4 and 5. Talk to me a little bit about the features, and I'm going to work to get you into a screen share here, Joe, so you can maybe show me a few things on the new software.
Sure. So in regards to features, there's been, and I'll just go through my short list here, and then maybe I'll show you on the screen.
Yeah.
First and foremost,
you should see a pop-up on your screen that will allow you to share your screen. If you want to just take a second.
Sure.
That should be working. Set webcast. There we go. Yep, it's popping up. So again, while Joe's doing that, guys, just so you know, MotivWave, do you see something that's popping up saying, "Hey, you can share your screen"?
I logged in with my name. I'm looking for the pop-up. Just give me a second here.
Okay. So again, Elliot is tricky in that it's basically an accounting methodology. It's a catalog of patterns to get an idea of where you are in terms of which wave, how far progressed the correction is or a trend is. And you got to kind of keep track of all these labelings. It's Ralph Nelson Elliott back in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. He was an accountant by nature, and he was actually sent to Latin America, I think by Hoover. I forgot which president, to basically get down and account for the finances in Latin America. So he was actually a presidential. There you go. He was actually appointed by the president. I'm embarrassed. I think it was Hoover. I have to go back and look. Or maybe Eisenhower. But so that's the foundation of Elliott, which is basically rooted in Dow theory. Charles Dow, grandfather of technical analysis, showed you that there's three main phases of a trend. Like there's accumulation, widespread participation, and distribution. So that's three trend waves. R. and Elliott took it much deeper and gave you values for the corrections, expected distances for each wave, showing you the fractal nature of Elliott, and it born a methodology that's probably one of the most controversial out there. Those who are in it love it, and those who tried it and didn't like it hate it. But MotivWave, for those of us who have been bitten by the bug, is the most amazing software to help you keep track of where you are in the wave count. So that being said, let's do this. And Joe, you are now live.
Okay.
You are now live. Yeah, so we can see your. In fact, let me just make a quick adjustment to your screen, and we will be fine. Number 6 position. We're gonna zoom you just a touch. We're gonna crop you. Bring out that big, beautiful face.
Yeah, face only a mother can love.
Oh, stop it. Joe's a great guy. He's helped me so much through the years, and talk about loyal to the business. All right, man, you're live. We can see your screen. Looks good. This is the MotivWave platform. Oh, wow. I already see a lot of differences here.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to highlight some of the new features. I'm not going to get into too much detail, being that we have restrictions on time. But let me start just with...
We're fine. We're fine. I'm in. If you have to hop off, okay. Just you can take us where you want to go.
All right. So I'm going to start with workspaces. Now, with version 6, we have the ability to save workspaces to the MotivWave cloud. And that's great because if you're working, as you know, you can install MotivWave on as many computers as you like, but you can only access it on one computer at a time. So if you're traveling or if you happen to be using multiple computers, as you log off on one and perhaps use the other one, you can access your workspace directly from the MotivWave cloud, so you don't have to be backing up and restoring between machines. Although we do recommend to always back up, this really facilitates it in respect to once you create a workspace on the cloud, there's also a local workspace created. So anytime you're offline, any changes to your settings, instruments, or analysis made to your local workspace is then synchronized once you go back online on the cloud. So once you create a new workspace, you'll be asked, do you want local or do you want MotivWave cloud? You can select the cloud and up it goes. If you have any existing local ones, cloud, and you want to bring back down to local for whatever reason, you can then change it back to local. Now, if you have a licensed version of MotivWave, you can have up to 3 workspaces on the cloud for a total of 250 megs. If you're on a trial, it's 1 workspace at 50 megs. Yeah, so that's workspaces on the cloud, which is a feature a lot of people were really asking for, and they seem to really like it. Did I lose you, Todd?
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Yeah, I have a little audio issue when we're switching back and forth, but that's okay. The benefit of putting on the cloud, the workspace on the cloud, is when you do have multiple machines, and I know a lot of us, some of us are training at home, you go to work, you go somewhere else, and you just want that workspace. All that analysis that you've built up, you want that available very quickly. Like when I travel, I just want to pull down my workspace on a different computer. I travel with a Mac, I train on a PC, but all the analysis is just there because all the workspace is up in the cloud. Is that pretty much the right way to approach it?
Correct. That's correct. Now, the one thing you got to bear in mind is that your cloud workspace is associated with your license key. So as long as you're using the same license key across the machines, you're going to have access to those specific cloud workspaces.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So that's that. What else? Well, I see some new graphics in there. Some new icons.
Yep.
Looking slick.
Yep. Yeah. Let me first talk about the depth of market, because we've made some significant enhancements there. Specifically,
ooh, wow, look at that.
Customization and color options for the columns. So we've added some extra columns. All the columns are listed here. You can turn them on or off just by deselecting or selecting here.
Right.
What we've done, I'm just going to go over the new columns in version 6. We have the orders column here. In the previous versions, we had 2 separate columns. We had an order column for buy orders and one for sell orders. The version 6 gives you the option to have it as one column, so that all the orders are then listed in the one column. So if I were to place any buys or sells, they're going to be listed in the same column. We also have added the bid delta, which tracks the difference in contracts added or removed from the current bid size. We then have added also here the add bid, which tracks the contracts traded at the bid price since the reset. Now you can reset the at bid or at ask via this icon up here. At ask keeps track of contracts traded at ask price. And then we've also added the ask delta, which tracks the difference in contracts added or removed from the current ask price. And then we have the bid volume, which is daily volume traded at the bid price. We have the ask volume, which is daily volume traded at the ask price. And then we have the delta volume, which is the difference between the two. Interesting here, we also have this column here, which I think is fantastic. Allows you to add text notes to any specific price levels. So for instance, if I wanted to add, let's go up here. If I wanted to make this resistance, I can make a resistance. I can assign a color to it. Red, I can assign a specific weight. You also have the option of having a label and an indicator. And once you hit enter, here's your label and here's your indicator. Okay, the good thing is you can also, by right-clicking, you have some options here. You can also save this current style so that, for your next text note that you make, instead of having to reconfigure all the options, you just select from the manage style. So that's notes.
I might need to go back to day trading. I promised to hang it up about 15 years ago, but I might need to go back and play with that.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. There's a lot of options here.
That's
so
awesome.
Up here, up here, like for as far as colors are concerned and all that. Actually, let me erase this note first. Remove all notes. That erases it. Yes. Okay, of course, we can center the DOM here. We can lock the DOM for orders. Here's a cool thing, too, with templates. So all the changes that I make here, obviously, it takes some time. We can save that as a template. And now these templates can be transferred over to another instrument's DOM. So if we hop over another instrument, you'll notice here I have a default DOM.
There you go.
If I then pull up my default, bang, change is made. So I don't have to sit there and reconfigure all that.
That's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. Now, as far as configuring the columns, we have some general configuration fields here. You can set a range, 10 rows above or below the current center. anytime price closes above or below, outside that range, then the DOM recenters. So that's kind of cool. Buttons, we've added some extra buttons here. We've added, at the moment we have 5, and you can always select what you want here, bring them over, or vice versa. Options for dividers, I've only enabled 1 here, right here. Now all these panels here allow for the configuration of colors to the corresponding columns found here. One exception here I like is the volume. It has some volume profile options here. In this case, I've enabled point of control here, and you can see it here. So that adds to the volume profile. And of course, some configuration for notes, and then all the columns are available here. So that's pretty much the DOM in that respect.
Very nice, very nice. What else? What else for some of the features, maybe new or existing for some of the? Look at this S&P bid. We were just talking about the 2800 to 2820 were 08 bid. So interesting breakout happened in the S&P. For those of us who are not in the intraday scalping realm, what features? What would you point us to for the position guys? Maybe the MotivWave guys.
That's a good question. A lot of the, as far as MotivWave, I guess this can give you a quick overview of. You take a look at your wave counts and you decided where your support and resistance are, or where you think your turnaround points are. Yep. And then, I mean, you can make the notes at those price levels here. So, instead of pulling up all the charts, you can just simply put the depth of the market, take a quick look. A lot of the feedback we got from here, from futures traders. I'm not a future trader myself, I just do FX. But a lot of feedback from our customers here. It's kind of culminated in this sort of refined interface here.
Very nice, very nice.
Because whoops, my screen just died. You guys seeing a fuzz?
Nope. Well, we're still seeing it on our end.
Well, that's not good.
Did you lose it on your end?
Yeah, I did. You might revert to my laptop now. Hang on.
Okay.
See if I can pick it back to life. Okay. Did you guys see it now?
Yep, you're moving again.
All right, okay, good. Another thing we have is for users of CQG, Rhythmic, and Game Futures, we now have continuous contracts on the client side using the historical contract data, and that's pretty much automatic.
That's cool.
Let me see. Yeah, just a quick screenshot here, because I'm an IQ feed now, and that already comes with continuous contracts. But so yeah, you have some options here regarding roll method and back adjust method that you can set. What else we got? We got customized columns. This is kind of cool. Let me go here. So if you look here on my watch list here, the customized columns can be added to both watch lists and quote sheets. They will display a study value either based on a built-in study or a custom study. And what it allows you to do is to format the columns and the cells to make it easier to visualize trading opportunities. So here I've added a MA cross, RSI, and MACD. If I head on over to configure and then custom columns, these are the ones that I created. Now you would click create. I'm just going to click edit because it's the same as the create screen. And just let me show you some options here. I was kind of hoping. Just taking up my full screen there rather. As
you guys can see, he's about the organization. Being an organized trader, kind of not unlike what Peter was talking about. The amount of work that goes into tracking his trades, his entries, all the stats. Being a pre-planned trader. These are all tools that help you do that, just being organized rather than just kind of gunsling and shoot from the hip and hope for the best. So
yeah, absolutely. It's go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'll say that's a key point, because as the product, as you mentioned, it's all about organization. But at the same time, we can only visually process so much. So the quicker we get the feedback from the platform as far as visuals, the quicker we can make our sound trading decisions. Of course, you need your sound trading plan, but imagine imagine fumbling through a bunch of charts looking at your studies and your study values instead of just setting up a nice panel like this where you get bang right away. You get to see some values and make some decisions. And that's sort of the idea. Yeah, and that's pretty much the idea with the custom columns here. Right away, it's quick reference. You can, in this case here with the MA Cross, for instance, I've set the column to show specific only values based on specific conditions. So in this case, I named it MA Cross because it's based on the MA Cross study.
Right.
Now, some studies have multiple variables. I selected the fast moving average, just an example on this one. The bar size, in this case, it includes, or it's not constricted just to regular trading hours. And the bar updates, if you have that selected, then incoming ticks are considered. If not, it's just on the close. Then we head up over to the display. There's a few things. You can set your column width, your alignment. In this case, everything is aligned to the right. And then you have the cell type. So in the case of the MA Cross, I just have plain. But if you take a look here at RSI, I have it set as a meter. So that's another quick visual for quick reference.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And then from here, you can set your format rules. So basically, these rules dictate the format of the cells. But for instance, here, just to illustrate a default rule, I set a default rule here by default just to show me empty cells. So I don't want to see anything here, just empty. But then I set a rule based on the condition that if the fast moving average is above the close, then what I did was I unchecked show empty cells. So now those values will show. I mean, and you're not just restricted to values. I mean, you could, for instance, take value off here and you can just put, you know, wherever you want.
Yeah.
Or short, or whatever,
Yeah.
and then that'll pop up.
That's the ranch.
Cool. Bang. Go short.
Very cool.
So that's custom columns. So that's another great feature, a big request for that. People had, you know, many indicators happening. They just wanted a quick reference. And again, you can use this to quote sheets as well. They're not just limited to watch lists.
Right.
Sorry, Todd. I have the heat blasting on my head, and I need to drink. I'm parched.
No worries. Very cool. What else? You guys have been working hard. Holy cow! Certainly for the active trader, you got to love this. And yes, guys, I see a couple questions coming in. Yes, you do need to feed MotivWave with data. Joe mentioned that he has IQ feed. I also use IQ, DTN IQ to feed MotivWave. But I also have, if you have a TD Ameritrade account, which is Thinkorswim, you can also pump that data in as well. So that's free. I most of the time I'm using my TD Ameritrade account to feed MotivWave. So that's pretty handy. So it's a free data source, which is great. But if you want to get the futures contracts, as you mentioned, IQ feed or even CQG, if you're at that level and your trading account has the need to go to that quality of delivery, of information delivery. All right, perfect. What else can you show us? A couple other features before we tell them what's going on it? Yeah.
We also got these gauges here that I mentioned before. Now in version 5.4.0, I believe we introduced this speed gauge here. And this one here is specific to being plotted to a chart, whereas these ones here can be either plotted in a panel or in a desktop. And the gauges are used to display either statistics or study values. So it's just a matter of, you click on the plus sign, you create a new gauge panel, and then once your panel shows up, you can just right-click and just start adding a gauge. So in creating a gauge, of course, you select your symbol, and you have different types. You have statistics, again, these are the available statistics, ticks, price, volume, bid volume, mass volume, delta spread, and delta DOM. And then, of course, you have study values. And again, these studies can be any of the built-in studies or any custom studies. So let's take a look at some that I've done here. So here I have the dollar CAD pair. I have a stat based on ticks for 15 seconds. I also have the euro dollar, and I I created a statistic there for price. And then I have the E-mini S&P 500, stat, delta, DOM. And so these three are statistics, whereas these two here, these bottom two here, are based on study values. So this one's based on the RSI, and this one is based on MACD. And from here too, I mean, you can rearrange these gauges, if you wanted these two at the top. And it works like any panel. I mean, you can resize the panel. These panels are resizable. They work like any other panel.
Yep.
Right? You can move them around. I mean, you can have, if you really want to, and really make a nice dashboard even quicker, you can have a bunch of these. Maybe have one dedicated to volume, one dedicated to, I don't know, a specific study or price, and then, just name them accordingly, volume, values, and then just flip back or just tile them any way you want. That's the great thing about the MotivWave docking framework. I mean, you can construct the layout pretty much any way to your liking.
And then one feature that I do use, you could actually pop that gauge out with those horizontal, or I should say those diagonal arrows. You could pop that out and put it anywhere on any of your monitors. You could actually remove it from the console, and that's something that I do all the time. Right?
Yeah, you can float them.
You can float it, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, the panels, the windows you can float. Let me try to pop out this panel. Oh, I think I'm in maximize mode, maybe that's why. Maximize screen. Yeah. But yeah, absolutely, whatever you find. And again, a lot of guys too, I find that you mentioned multiple monitors. A good thing too for that would be to create like a new desktop. You can call this whatever, monitor, whatever, 2. Now, I can take this and put this on my second monitor.
Yeah.
And I can do that. I mean, that's really cool because then I can have separate pages, separate panels, and instead of dealing with a whole bunch of floating windows, you just take the whole group and bang, just drag it over. The good thing about desktops, as you know, Todd, is that you can save them, so you can recall them at any time, right? So yeah, no doubt. So that's gauges.
That's
pretty
awesome.
Much gauges.
You guys have been working hard.
Yep.
I like it. Looks great too.
Yeah, Tony's been burning the keys. So yeah, lots of work.
8 or 10 years I've worked with him, I've never known him to not be working his tail off.
Yeah, Tony's an awesome guy. The whole group at MotivWave, we work really hard to make sure the users are happy. And yeah, it's tough at times, but anything tough, as you know, pressure turns coals into diamonds, right?
There you go. Well put. So talk to me about, we have a sale coming up. They do this every March. I believe it's, is it going to be 20% off the license, correct?
Yeah, I got some notes here.
Perfect.
So it's a spring sale. It's 20% off. It goes from Tuesday, March 12th to Monday, March 18th, midnight, 7 days only. And that would apply to leases, lifetime licenses, payment plans, and some add-on modules. It does not apply to Chart Edition or updates and support. Or else I got to take a 20% pay cut. So we've added a monthly lease option on some of these editions here, and I believe this is the link to your site for the Trading Analysis edition.
Very nice.
So,
appreciate that. Yeah, we.
Yeah, let me. I'm gonna pull it up, Todd, or I have a quick.
Yeah, if you want to do it on your side, I that's absolutely.
And maybe you could just, if you want, I can pull it up and you go ahead and talk your way through it, or whatever you wish.
Sure.
Okay, it's all yours.
Awesome. That was great. Let me do this. There's Peter's. So yeah, this is as I said, this is the software we rely on. We obviously are more geared towards the daily wave side, fib, looking at more of a position trading, approach. But if you're a futures intraday scalper, I mean, wow, look at all those features. So most of our customers at Trading Analysis, if you want to learn to do this yourself, if you want the tools that we use, here's the time to do it. The guys, as I said, I've been working with those guys for MotivWave for a decade, and we stand by them. Great software. Joe is probably, you've spoken with him, very caring for the customers, and they listen to your concerns, and they try to move it in. They try to adapt it into the platform. So it's really nice and really refreshing to have that personal care. So if you guys want, we are at Trading Analysis. We are going to offer it through here. Appreciate you guys doing that at the 20% off. It is available on the MotivWave site as well. We have a couple add-ons. So we have our own Trading Analysis version, a few little bells and whistles that are available through the Trading Analysis site. We do have a mastery course of MotivWave, how we go through, how we set up from an Elliott point of view, from a tactical point of view, from multiple analysis, looking at the primary, looking at the alternate wave count, how we actually label the Elliott wave patterns. So that's in the mastery course as well. Also, this is something, Joe, I mean, I can't, the biggest complaint, Joe, I'm sure you deal with this all day long, is Elliott wave is too subjective, and it's too hard because they don't know where to start the count. Is that, tell me if I'm wrong, but is that one of the biggest complaints you hear about Elliott wave?
It's one of them, and I typically tell people to keep the wave counts consistent. Try pegging it to a specific date.
Okay.
If you don't peg it to a specific date, then it all becomes about where does this thing initiate, and depending where it initiates, of course, you're going to have varying counts.
Yeah.
So that's that seems to pretty much take care of that concern there. And as far as subjectivity, I Todd, trading is like you can have one trader short and one trader long at the same price, and either they're both profitable or one isn't. And it all comes down to risk management, right?
Yep.
So I get that a lot. It's like, how accurate is Elliott wave? And I said Elliott wave is a fantastic tool, but it's all about your money management. So be ready to know when you're wrong, to do what's necessary in order to get yourself out of the trade.
That's a great point, and I think does it have to be 78.6% correct to be useful? No, it really doesn't. I mean, in fact, it could be 40% correct, but as long as you're in trades based on the wave counts that are risking X to make 1.6 or 1.8 or 2X, then that's a profitable proposition. So the wave count is for me, the Elliott wave principle is the most wonderful discretionary, not only analysis methodology, but trading methodology, because it very quickly defines and shows you where you should be wrong and where you really got to think about managing. Also, it gives the upside targets. So what we've done with MotivWave is we have a cloud-based Elliott wave catalog of our charts. So what that means is I make changes on my MotivWave software. I do that, and I make a quick change. Oh wow, it looks like we're through the 78%. I believe we're going to go up to the 1272 now. So that's the new target. I'm going to just change this. New target at 2843. As I hit this save button right here, this is sent to the cloud, and everybody who is a MotivWave customer who is tied into our repository instantly just got that analysis on their charts. So everybody who is following and who's plugged in is going to have all the Elliott wave analysis that my team is doing in real time. So talk about overcoming the biggest objection, in my opinion, that Elliott's too subjective, don't know where to start the count. Just watch the wave count evolve in real time as we update it and we trade it, and you see us deploy capital. This is revolutionary. I can't understate how important I think this is to overcome the biggest objection, Elliott, which it takes hard work. As Peter Brandt said, he's been working at this for trading in 6 decades. And he's going through a drawdown. He never stopped working at this. So this, I think, is a wonderful tool to show you, shorten the learning curve of Elliott and see how professionals do it. So Joe was hugely instrumental in working through this with us and testing it, and we've been working on it for 2 years. So that's also a quick way to get up to speed. So there's a lot of offerings within the MotivWave platform. So all that is at tradinganalysis.com/bring sale. Those add-ons, the MotivWave edition, the Trading Analysis edition. The site that Joe is referring to is MotivWave.com right here, the big spring sale. It's no longer the March Madness sale because it's not just they're all playing basketball in the MotivWave offices. This is the training course that I was just referring to. They're nice enough to put us on the MotivWave homepage, and that's the software that gets us through each and every trade. So, sir, I appreciate you coming on. Closing thoughts. What should we be looking for in MotivWave going forward? Who's going to win March Madness? Where are you going for summer vacation?
Well, as far as other things coming out, I'm sort of on a need-to-know basis. It's sort of like Coca-Cola's secret sauce, right? So, but there's always features being added. As a matter of fact, can you guys still see my screen?
No, actually, I took that one down.
Oh, okay. But so if they hop on over to MotivWave.com,
yep.
If they take a look at the release notes on the download page,
okay, I can.
Yep.
That. Right. Yep. So here, download and
with every release on the release notes, it'll show you what's been added. Now, underneath the release notes there, you have the What's New in Version 6 Beta Guide. Yep. That's pretty much a list of all the new features. So there's some more in there for you to play with.
Oh, there you go, right there. Perfect.
Yeah. So whatever release, you check the release notes to see what's been added. Now back to and again, of course, there's the guide there under the release notes. What's new in version 6 on the homepage? Not the homepage, the website there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, just a bit up. Sorry, Cal.
Oh.
Yeah, right underneath the release notes link. Yeah, if you click on that.
Ah, perfect.
So what you'll see in there, some of the things we touched upon today with more detail. So I highly recommend you guys go through it if you're more curious of what's been introduced. And it's some great documentation there for you to experiment with and try the features.
Well done. Well done. Thanks for that information. That's
no problem.
That's a great intro to version 6. It's still in beta, coming out of beta soon, maybe. But definitely don't delay if you think about getting the software that you've seen us use for years at Trading Analysis, and if you're new to the Wednesday webcast, you're getting used to MotivWave. So, guys, we'll leave it there. Joe, thanks so much. I appreciate it, and I'll be in touch with you guys soon. Best of luck in the sale.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for your time today. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
Joining us.
No problem. My pleasure. Take care.
See you, bro.
Take care. Bye now.
All right. So that was Mr. Milena at MotivWave. Guys, that's a long session, but 2 guests was it was aggressive. So it was good, though. I think there was a lot of good value in there. We got the softer side of trading. We've got the technical side in terms of charts. Just kind of looking at what the markets are doing here. S&P 2806, strong move. 2820 is the upside kind of breakout. That's what Peter and I were talking about. That's what we're going to be focused on with our members. As Peter said, kind of getting more long exposure. So, guys, we're going to leave it there. Thanks for hanging in if you made it the entire time. And technical difficulties are getting a little bit less, I would say. We're getting a little bit better at it. We'll continue to grow. That's going to be the gauge. That's going to be the goal of 2019. And thanks, guys. We're at tradinganalysis.com. Hit us there. Check out MotivWave. Check out Peter Brandt's work. And best of luck in this pending breakout. See you guys.